Hi, today I'm going to talk to you about disc golf and the benefits I think it can offer your community as a positive recreational activity. Disc golf is a sport, much like ball golf, where the goal of the sport is to take your frisbee disc and get it into the basket or the goal, the hole, in as few throws as possible. It is a sport that is very catered to players of all types and ages and can be a great family activity. The rules of disc golf involve throwing your frisbee from a tee pad. Wherever the disc lies, you pick it up and you throw it again. And again, like I said, try and get it into the goal in as few throws as possible. So now I'm going to demonstrate what is called a backhand throw, the standard frisbee throw, to try and get to the basket. As you can see, I got somewhat close. I'm about 50 feet short. For where I would go from there, I would go to where my frisbee landed, throw my next disc, probably my putter, and try and score for a birdie, which is -1, because the par here is 3. So this is one of the signs, and many courses do have them, and I would recommend putting them in because they're very helpful for those that have never played a course before and don't know where the holes are. So this hole here that we've just thrown on is the 6th hole, and typically most courses are either 9 or 18 holes. Par is 3, so you want to get it in 3 shots. If you get less than that, that's really good. If you get worse, it's bad, but not necessarily really bad for a beginner. And then this will show you the tee pad where we are and where the basket is, and the green is the fairway. Next, I'm going to explain to you the different flight patterns of discs. So in disc golf, there's 2 different flight patterns, and also basically 3 different types of discs. You have your putters, which are for very short range on driving or for putting. You have your mid-ranges, which I have 2 here, and you have drivers, both fairway and distance drivers. We're going maximum distance. And within each of those types, we have what are called understable and overstable discs. And what these discs do, an overstable disc, if I throw a right-handed backhand throw and I release straight, it's going to fade left as its natural curve. Whereas an understable disc, I throw my right-handed backhand throw, it's going to turn over to the right and then maybe come back a little bit at the end. And the way that we know this is through flight numbers. These flight numbers are on most or all discs. If you can't find it you can find it online. The first 5 here is speed, which is how soon the disc will kick in its ending flight. The second is glide, how long it stays in the air. The third is turn, which is for an overstable 0, which means it's not going to turn over from a right-handed backhand throw. And the last 3 is fade, which is, like I said, how strong it ends. Whereas on the understable disc, it's not listed here, but this is 5, 5, -3, 1. So the turn, unlike the 0 here, is -3, so it's going to turn over a lot, and that 1 fade at the end will bring it back just a little bit. So now I'll demonstrate the different flight patterns by throwing them. First with the overstable. See, we had a very clear, just straight to left. Now with the understable, we will see it turn over a little. So if you could see, it started to go right a little bit. I did release a little bit high and not with much power. But with the proper power and height of release, it would have continued on its right way turnover much longer before coming back a little bit at the end. So now that I've explained overstable and understable discs, demonstrating a backhand throw, I'm going to show you a sidearm throw, which instead of fading to the left at the end, as you saw with the backhand, is going to fade to the right. So the grip that is typically used is you take your two foremost fingers, lay them along the rim here, and grip with your thumb. And that is the grip. And the motion for this is kind of like a baseball swing. So you're just going to come back, come here, and flick your wrist at the end, and roll the disc off of your middle finger. So now I will demonstrate. Finally, the last throw I'm going to demonstrate is called a thumber, where you take your thumb rested on the middle of the disc and the rim rested here on your finger like that. And this could also be called like an overhand throw. The point of this throw though is if you have an obstacle in front of you and you can't go around to either side, you need to go over. And so the motion is you reach back overhand, come overhead, and you want to release at about a 1 o'clock angle. If you're looking at a clock, where the one hand is, you want to release right about there. Your disc should float, come upside down, then go back and sit. So now I'll demonstrate. I'm going to demonstrate the overhand throw one more time. So finally, I'm going to demonstrate the putt for you. The typical putting grip is to fan out the bottom 3 fingers here. Take your index finger and rest it right on the underside of the rim with your thumb resting gently on top, kind of gripping between these 3 fingers and here. The typical technique is to try and use most of your body's momentum rather than your wrist flick to keep the disc stable, where I kind of lean into it and use your body's natural motion with the tiniest wrist flick at the end. So you see our drive here that we threw earlier that landed. So I'm going to play it just like it's a normal round and try and score my birdie with a putt. So now I'll demonstrate. You want to line up your foot right behind the disc as tournament rules. You don't step in front. It's always behind the disc. Just barely touching. Close. So now I'll put it in for my par. So that's disc golf in a nutshell. It's a really fun sport. It's very cheap to build. Most baskets cost about $300. So if a community, usually typically the city recreational department or whatever the equivalent is in your country, gets together, get 18 baskets for $300 each, that's only about $5,400. And for that you can have an entire 18-hole course that's free to play for everyone, that as many people can come and go as they like. The only price entry is just buying discs yourself, which you can get for about $10 each. And with that you can create a very community-oriented, free, fun activity for your communities to do. I would highly recommend disc golf as a sport to try.